Applique borders can add an intricate look to your quilt, but they can be a little intimidating. Hey everybody, it's me, Angela Walters from Quilting is My Therapy, and welcome to the last video in the Help How Do I Quilt It video series. Throughout the previous videos, I've been sharing design ideas for common quilt blocks, and in this video, we're going to talk about applique borders. I'm going to use the border panel I designed for this challenge. I designed it so that it would look like applique pieces. Even though it didn't take me forever to quilt, it's still going to give me the experience of quilting around those applique pieces. I'm going to show you what that looks like on a sewing machine and a long arm, so let's get to it. When it comes to quilting around applique, especially in borders, my #1 priority is to use the quilting to make those pieces shine. No matter which fabrics used or shapes are created, I pretty much go about quilting them the same way. First, I'm going to stitch along the edge of the pieces to help them pop, quilting close to the edge, around the whole shape, and then moving on to the next one. And if I get stuck, I'll use echoing to move on to the next one. Stitching along the edge of the applique can be a little scary, but to help you keep that line smooth and on the right path, look ahead of your needle and trust your hands to bring you to that point. Looking ahead will let you see what's coming up so you can adjust your quilting. But no matter what you do, try not to stress too much about it. Sometimes when we overthink it, it makes the quilting more difficult to do. Now don't worry if there are unquilted areas around that applique. I'm going to come back in a minute and use echoing to fill them in. To keep the quilting from overwhelming the individual pieces, I usually leave them unquilted. However, if they're a little too big to leave unquilted, I'll add just a little something on the inside, either an echo line or a little detail. The idea here is I don't want any of the quilting to take away from that beautiful applique. And I'm using this gold thread so that you can really see what I'm doing, but if you're quilting along with me on the panel, go ahead and use that light color that matches the background fabric. What that's going to do is give us quilting that highlights those shapes without detracting from them. Once the pieces are outlined, I'm going to start echoing around them. Now this does a couple different things. It helps separate those pieces from the filler I'm going to put around them, and it also helps me handle any gaps that might be in between those pieces. Echoing is just quilting the same shape a set distance away. I love to use 1/4 inch echoing because I can run the foot of my sewing machine along that applique piece, but you can adjust the spacing depending on your preferences. Now this is really going to make those applique pieces stand out. And I'm just making sure all the area is filled in, adding some more echo lines, and continuing on. And then if I get to a point where I have a little bit more room, I'll go ahead and quilt another paisley shape just to kind of add some detail into that area. Now as I'm echoing, I might get some areas where I have more echoing and less echoing in other areas. Keeping the spacing consistent between those lines will help keep any one echo line from showing off. If you don't have room to get all the way on the inside, no problem. Once my foot touches anything else, another quilted line or my little paisleys, I know it's time to go ahead and change direction and continue on with my echoing. And of course, if you find that you have a little bit too much space, or maybe you're just getting tired of the echoing, you can throw in a swirl or other filler design. As long as that spacing is the same, it will keep them from standing out from the rest of the echoing. The main idea here is I just want to make sure that there's no big gaps left unquilted so that all you can see are those beautiful paisley shapes. And once I'm done with the echoing, it's time to fill in the rest of the unquilted areas. Now, if I'm dealing with a smaller border or I don't have a lot of space, I'm going to continue echoing to fill in any gaps. But for applique borders that have more room, I can quilt other designs to add some detail and interest to that area. For instance, in between the paisleys, I can quilt some pebbles that gives it the illusion of the spine of a feather. Now, while it does look awesome, it's going to take a little bit longer to quilt, but I think the result is so worth the effort. Now around the applique, I can fill in those unquilted area with a denser quilted design, such as swirls or paisleys or really any kind of filler. The contrast between the density of the filler and the applique pieces is what's really going to help it stand out from the rest of the quilting. Another design I love using is wishbones. It's a great design to use between the edge of the border and the paisley details. But no matter how you treat the area around your paisleys, just make sure the whole area is filled in. Using the quilting to show off the intricate applique borders of your quilts can be as easy as echoing. Whether you echo or not, use dense filler or not, it's gonna look amazing on your quilts. Now it's your turn. If you're quilting along with me on the custom border panel I designed for the challenge quilt, go ahead and quilt the rest of those borders with the designs of your choice. You can try echoing a couple times, you could add some different fillers. Whatever you do, just have fun quilting it. And this is the final video in the Help How Do I Quilt It video series. If you haven't caught the previous videos, be sure to check them out because I share designs for different types of quilt blocks. And I'll be back soon with another Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along video series. But in the meantime, if you're wanting more machine quilting inspiration or design ideas, be sure to check out my previous Free Motion Challenge Quilting Alongs. Those are all on my YouTube channel, and the best part, they're absolutely free. I'll be back soon with another video. Until then, everybody, happy quilting.